So, today we talk with Andrea, who is a personal accountability coach. We talk about her past and how she was bullied for being different. And then we also talk about how she used her negative experience into making something so magical. She is a personal accountability coach and she created a company called Play, which is Plan Life According to You. Hope you enjoy. Hey y'all, welcome back to Mentally a Badass. My name is Justine, and today I have Andrea, which we're gonna be talking a lot about her business, and we're talking about forgiveness and like living life according to how you want to live your life. So Andrea, I do appreciate you being on here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Justine. It's a privilege and honor to be with you today.
Awesome. I really appreciate you feeling that honor. It's great.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
Perfect. So let's start with a little bit of your background story.
Absolutely. So I was born during the drug-torn war zone era at its prime. And I was born during the cartel and raised in Colombia, South America. But unfortunately, my parents weren't able to keep me and take care of me, let alone themselves. Made the ultimate sacrifice, and at 11 months old, weighing in only 11 pounds, they had put me up for adoption and sent me to the promised land of America. Fast forward, around 7 years old, my adoptive parents had did with their honor and grace to disclose to me how I was a treasure in their lives. Little did they know that it was a tragedy for me down the road to come, for I had no identity, no medical records, no
Right.
paperwork, no photographs to see where I came from. But it's okay because that enhanced me to fall forward. And through the bullying and trauma and drama from my peers not fitting in during my school years, I was able to go into the industries of psychology and social work for over 2 decades. I learned cultural diversity and I learned the science behind why people do what they do and don't do. And when 2020 hit, it was a year of clarity for me where I invested in me and connected with the Mr. Les Brown and received mentorship in working with him to become a global certified motivational speaker. In doing so, as the world was in chaos, I was in grind time, and I established and created my business of all my experiences and knowledge into what today is called Press Play. Plan Life According to You, where I help individuals achieve personal freedom through the healing power of forgiveness.
Yeah. But first, let me say that I love your storytelling skills.
Thank
Like
you.
I
Thank
truly
you.
have never like interviewed someone that had that kind of like that storytelling skill. You think you should write a book? Have you ever thought about writing a book? So I
It is on my list, Justine. Yes, it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I actually interviewed the person yesterday who has a book, which is really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's dig a little bit deeper on like your feelings and your thought process and emotions when you were getting adopted. So can you remind me, well, you said you were a baby at the time? Was that correct?
Yes, I was 11 months old, weighing at 11 pounds.
Mm,
So I was really nurtured, per
mhm.
se, in America.
Yeah,
And my parents open arm with unconditional love, health, and wealth, successful bankers on Wall Street, and
nice.
welcomed me with open arms. It was a blessing.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely, truly. And so you were, so yeah, so of course, so you don't like have memory of like the initial, like, the adoption because of course, like you don't remember anything before the age of 4.
Right.
You learn in psychology. I actually
Yes.
have a psychology background myself. I went to school, but I didn't go
Excellent.
towards doing like therapy and psychiatry because I personally feel that I can help others in that way if I need to help myself first. You know what I mean? So this is like what
Absolutely.
I do to, pretty much utilize my degree and such. So you said that you were bullied in school.
Yes.
Were you bullied like throughout like all through school, like even like up to like high school?
Absolutely, yes. Unfortunately, when the area that I grew up in, I was different. I had different features. I had different, languages. Even though I spoke English and was raised on English, and my parents spoke English, I still had an accent.
Yeah.
And, I was, would just imagine being shoved into lockers, thrown into trash cans,
You were
and
thrown into trash
every
cans?
yes, every day sitting in the girls' bathroom eating my lunch on the stall, just waiting till lunch to be over. And if I didn't, and if I mustered up the courage where it was too much to bear, I would ask the nurse to go home to my safe haven of my parents and my grandparents.
People are
It was
so.
a rough time. Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the metropolitan area, tri-state area, and in thinking about how diverse it is, the
I
town that
grew up
I
here
grew
too.
up was like Mr. Rogers.
Sweet.
So it was, it's an amazing town, but as we, evolve, kids are different when they see a different, ethnicity and different physical features. And I was of petite stature. So I
Yeah.
was, petite for my age. They were just like, they didn't understand it. And one of the questions they always asked was, you know, they knew that I was adopted, but they were just like, why? They didn't understand. And my parents were grateful to kind of give me a book that I still have, Why Was I Adopted? And it shows a little child in like a candy machine and the parents getting so excited and saving their money to adopt this child. Of course, that obviously wasn't the way it was,
Yeah.
but it was just amazing. And so, but my safe havens, Justine, were that of being an athlete and being a musician. I loved playing the piano and I loved playing soccer. So I hid behind those because for me also, learning for me was like 10 times harder. I'd had worked 10 times harder just to get a decent grade, trying to focus. At today's day and age, they're gradually adjusting to different people's learning abilities. But at that time, it was difficult. It was like this cookie cutter system where, you read a book, you took notes, and then you took a test. I'm a visual learner. I learn visually, I learn hands on, and I watch somebody, they supervise me, and then I get it after a few times and I master it.
Yeah.
So it was difficult, and it took a toll on my mental health, because it's kind of like, well, of course I'm going to get bullied. Of course I'm not going to have friends. My parents didn't even want me. They put me up for adoption. And this is the mindset of a young elementary child, an elementary school child,
Hmm.
So, but it was a blessing in disguise because I truly understood what unconditional love was.
Yeah.
So when I had been able, like you said earlier on, to invest in me, to learn about myself and to appreciate all my shortcomings and talents and skills that were given, that's when I now loved myself and know how to love others.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a truly inspirational story. And honestly, like, I can relate, not the adopting part, 'cause I wasn't adopted, but I can
Mhm.
relate with like not fitting in school and having to work like 10 times harder because, like, I'm the kind of person where I am visual and I'm very like hands on. Like, if you're
Yes,
like, lecturing me, like, I mean, like in college or whatever school, and you say like all this stuff, it's just gonna go right through one ear and not do that. I'm gonna like leave class and be like, what did we learn today? Honestly,
exactly.
but because I mean, I
Exactly.
would like write notes and like try to keep up, but like if I'm writing notes, I'm focused on like writing notes. I'm not focused on like trying to comprehend what's going on. So I just,
Exactly.
from what I'm understanding from like everybody that I'm interviewing, is that I feel like the certain like relatable like connection to all these people, what they went through as a child, and I just feel like
Mhm.
that just makes me. And I know we all have like had like poor mental health because people would mistreat us, and people, and we have more mental health like there's obviously something that happened in your childhood, and like what
Yeah.
happens in your childhood is really kind of brings on to your adulthood, and you can choose to let it turn into you being like self-sabotaging or being like a criminal or this and that and like put you down in like the dump, or you can choose for what you're doing and to
Mhm.
use everything that you went through and to help others, which is, and then a lot I've noticed that, and honestly, like you said, it's a blessing in disguise. So like me with all my
Yes.
bullying and like everything like people have done to me, like with people telling me like, yo, kill yourself and this and that, like, I've got like it that bad.
Mhm.
And I decided like, my mental health was trash. And but now
Right.
like I feel like this I've discovered in like senior of high school. I'm like, I wanna, like what you said, I wanna understand how like people think and like why people do what
Mhm.
they do.
Right.
And not many people think like we do.
Right. Absolutely. And being an empath, which I've been kind of to take ownership and really study and understand, it is through my stories, my sufferings that I can help others, and I still remember doing one public speaking event, and I had mentioned my story of being bullied, and one of the audience members stood up and said, you know, I used to bully kids in my school, and I never saw the other side of the coin. And I said to that individual, I said, well, behalf on your individuals who you bullied, I forgive you.
Mm.
And they said that was probably the most powerful statement that they've heard, because it's kind of like liberating. Like, and what I did with social work and psychology was, you know, I've worked with individuals from geriatric to infantry, institutionalized, hospitalized, long term, and on the streets. And I still remember to this day that, you know, whenever I was received an assignment or a case, I would just push the paperwork aside and I'd go talk to them as human beings.
I love
And I
that.
still remember coming home, and obviously, with all due respect for confidentiality, I would say, you know, I met this individual who performed this heinous crime of A, B, and C. And then the response was just, how dare you speak to that monster? And this is the stigmatism and labels. I said, you know what? To be quite honest, that's all that individual received. That's all that individual knew. That's all that individual was programmed to do.
Yeah.
And they had no other perspective or alternative. And like you said, Justine, we all have a choice. We could either, you know, use the fertilizer to nurture a garden, or could we use the fertilizer and wallow in it? And it's really a choice that's up to us. And when we start looking at it ourselves and looking us as a human race who has flaws,
Yeah.
but we are part of the connection that help each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's important that we rise and unite and no longer conquer and divide. I mean, the best analogy I say is, how look at these theme parks, look at the concerts, look at the sports arenas, look at the venues of, you know, gatherings, obviously pre and, you know, with everything going on. But you have a myriad of all diversities coming together with one, you know, interest in mind.
Hmm.
Why can't it be like that all the time? And look at our uniquenesses and our differences as something to be acknowledged about. And it's really our accountability and responsibility
Yeah.
to gain that knowledge, be insightful, and have the capability to understand. Because when I became global, I would talk on different countries and continents, and I'd have this limited perspective, but it's all skewed perspective or false perspective based on the presenters, what they want you to see.
Yeah.
And when I was remembering, when I was looking at footage my senior year of kind of getting an understanding where I came from,
Hmm.
I paralleled it to the commercials that you see on today of those children in need with the distended stomachs, with lack of clothing, lack of nutrition. I mean, I was 11 pounds,
Hmm.
11 months old. That's a pound per month, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
And it's how you look through your lens in the camera to see, is this something beautiful or is this something tragic? And I think when we start altering our focus on the positive, that's when we're going to see the beauty in life.
Yeah, I completely agree. There was this picture. I don't know if I really want to, I don't know if it's really considered a meme or whatever, but basically it was two sons and they both had the same father, and that father was an alcoholic. One
Mm-hmm.
son decided to be an alcoholic, like drinking all the time, and they're like, oh well, my father's like an alcoholic, so I want to probably end up like an alcoholic. And then the other
Right.
one decided like, I don't want to be like my father, and I'm going to make a name for myself and being really successful. And that right there,
Sure.
it's like you can see that people are making, like, it's all about choice. And I don't, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that don't understand that, and there's so many people like, well, you don't understand, like, like, or my brain is this and this. I'm like, I mean, I empathize, sympathize for people, who struggle and such. And obviously, I mean, I've had depression, and I totally understand like how it feels to be in the dump and like literally just like in bed, like all day. And sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
can have my episodes, I'll be for 2 days, and it's like it's hard. And then I understand being in
Right.
that particular headspace where you feel like you physically cannot do anything because it's so high and like so deep in depression. But I
Right.
do believe that like it's gonna eventually get like there's different like severity, and it's
Mm-hmm.
eventually going to get a little bit like not as severe, and like that's the time that you
Right.
make a choice.
Right.
Because and it's just like, how I believe also like what God has given us like the choice to how we like want to like live our lives. And honestly, like I I just believe like once you're out of like the cloud where it's not storming and it's just drizzling, like that's the time when it's like, okay, this is your opportunity to make a choice. And
Right.
even if you fall back, that's okay. At least you're trying, and at least you're it's just going to take a lot harder to get to that level for versus someone who doesn't have that cloud over their head. But it
Right.
makes you a stronger person, and hence my podcast name, Mentally a Badass. Like that what it strives from, because we are badasses and it's not easy to have that cloud over your head. We have to literally get out of that cloud. And
Absolutely.
exactly. So like that's pretty much like why I call it Mentally a Badass. Like because we have to be a badass in order for us to live like the average person in, the world. Um yeah, so
Absolutely. And we're having a great time, and so I want to share with your audience. I've been on, in the industries. And so, being that we're having a great time, I want to take this opportunity now to let you know that I'm here. I
mhm.
want you to grab your cell phones, go to your email and type in am.pressplay@gmail.com and type in Mentally Badass, because I will give you a complimentary session. And being that, Justine, is what you said. We have a choice.
Mhm.
I have a YouTube channel which has exceeded over 300 videos I've done now. And it is all tailored to anybody and everybody. We all have a story. We all have a message. And I think what has happened is we've been so programmed
Mhm.
to feel depression is the in now, which it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, it's now public, so I'm not the only one, and people can relate. It's far from that. It's when we say, okay, what are we going to do about it?
Exactly.
The thing is, there's a cliche saying misery loves company. But the same things that annoy you or frustrate you or your pet peeves about another is a reflection in the mirror. So if
Mhm.
you don't like people being lazy, being not on time, not productive, and talking the talk and not walking the walk, take a moment. I challenge everyone in the audience today. Put your heart over your chest, look in the mirror, and say, I'm worth it.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm not gonna put up with this. I'm not gonna live my life this way. Because, truth be told, if I was to come out to one of you and speak with each and every one of you listening here, and I said, you know what? If I said, Justine, fine, just wallow in it. You're not gonna do anything anyway. You're right. You're not worth it.
Yeah.
And then you, being of self awareness and heightened composure, confidence, discipline, and esteem, you're going to be like, how dare you? She doesn't know what she's talking about. That, what we say is the badass, is what you're talking about. Because if anybody insulted your family, your children, your pets, to the pet parents out there, anything disrespectful, you would put them in your place.
Yeah.
I'm here as an accountability coach to put you in your place and say, let's do it. Press play now and plan life according to you. Because as we're growing up, when we're younger, our story is told to us. But
Yeah.
as we grow up, we must take the pen in our own hand and begin writing our own story.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, when you're younger, it's kind of like life is, you're still just trying to understand life, and life is kind of as a way planned out for you. Because,
Right.
when you have like your parents and then like the school and how it's like literally your life is planned. Like, oh, you're going to take these classes. Oh, you're going to do this. And then it's like all society saying, oh, you have to do this to go to college to be successful. And like all of that. Like, but now we're at the point where it's like, okay, I don't have those people like saying these things to me anymore. Like it's
Right.
I'm an independent I'm an independent thinker, and I can think for myself and do and actually just be who I'm supposed to be. And that's
Absolutely.
just like the great thing about like, being like, obviously being adult can be hard, but like it's also has a blessing as a self where I don't have people like telling me what to do. Like I don't live with my parents anymore. Like it's just like I can literally do whatever I want. And one day I was like thinking, I'm like sitting down, drinking a glass of wine, and I'm like, I can literally do whatever I want to do. I can
Yes.
be whoever I want to be. It's my
Absolutely.
choice if I want to take the hard road or if I want to just default to the average person where
Just
they're
coasting.
accepting that all they got to do is just go to college, get a job, even if they hate it, they don't care because it pays good, it pays the bills. Work
Right.
5 days a week, a 9 to 5, look forward to the weekends, and that's it. Then they, get
Yes.
married, have kids, then their kids have kids, and then it's just a basic life. And I'm
Yes.
just like, I don't believe that that is what I'm meant to be.
Right.
I am literally completely different from my whole family. Everybody, I'm the only single person. I'm 26 years old,
Good for
single,
you.
don't have kids. I live with like two other roommates. I live in Orlando, and
Hmm.
I am very
That's good.
focused
Mhm.
on like what I do for myself. I feel like my priority is not to go and find a guy to get married and have kids. Like that's not my priority in life.
Right.
And it's like nothing wrong for some people having that priority. I know like people are built to like some people are built to like, have kids and like be a good mother and like my
Hmm.
sister's like that. My sister is a good
Right.
mom and she's built for that. I'm not built for that.
Right. Yes. No, I totally hear you. And it's not a cookie cutter world. And Justine, I commend and acknowledge you for doing that. And truth be told, if you play your cards right, you can do it a lot younger. Audience, you could do this at our son's 11 years old. As long as he knows the basic morals, values, ethics, and manners, he can do that as well.
Yeah.
We just sent him to do an apprenticeship. He mentioned that he wanted to become a chef. I graduated with two culinary chefs who graduated from Johnson and Wales, the elite culinary institute, and
Mhm.
he did an apprenticeship at 11 years old over the summer.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm encouraging everyone. Start now.
Yeah.
You don't need to do everything by the books.
Yeah.
It's independent, free will. This is what makes
That's what it's
us
called, free will.
enjoying
Look
about.
at that word.
Absolutely. Yes, but think
Oh,
about it, and a lot of people fear that, well, no, 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 I got to go do this. By
or
whose
like I don't have time, or I'm not
reports?
ready, or like I'm not good at this. And I literally hate, oh my God, I'm getting very passionate right now. But I hate when people say, oh, I'm not good, like I'm not good at doing this, like you're good at doing this, like you have the personality. I'm like,
Right.
listen, like you can
Hmm.
be good at whatever you want if
Yes.
you put your mind to it. Like obviously we're
Yes.
saying, oh, I'm not good at it. Yeah, you're not good at it because you're not working towards it. Like, I
Exactly.
mean, I understand
Exactly.
people are natural at doing things. Like for me, I'm naturally have a really like outgoing, bubbly personality. I totally
Right.
understand that people are not like that. Like my
Right.
sister's more shy. But like
Right.
if you work on like getting out of your comfort zone and talking to more people, then
Yes.
you're gonna turn into have the skills that I have. And I truly
Absolutely.
believe that anybody can literally do what they want as long as they
Mhm.
set their mind to it. It just you have to make a choice. Do you
Yes.
want to do you like if you really want if someone really wants something, they will get it.
Absolutely.
People
And
don't
that's a
understand that.
right. And that's what, you and I and like-minded individuals, thought leaders are instilling in people, that get out of this blinder zone. You can either have blinders on like a racehorse and focus on the prize and getting to your goals, or you can have blinders on and have limited knowledge and live in limited experience. For me, perfect example. October 2020 was when I had clarity, but at that time I wasn't speaking. I was never speaking in the public eye. I was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And here I am 9, 10, 11 months later, and I've been on almost every continent around the world,
That's
providing on TV, podcasts, TV shows, radio shows, and being in international conferences and mentoring women in South Africa and Pakistan and Europe. I mean, but this is constant grinding. However, I will share with you, I did a video yesterday. I have been able to master up to at least 40 hours per month, if not more, depending how hard you want to go, of buying my life back.
mm-hmm.
40 hours doing what I want to do outside of the mother, wife, daughter tasks,
Mm-hmm.
and living my dream with my business. I have an individual who has overcome adversity. He's definitely a son of a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him sharing with me from my fellow alumni, stating that the doctor had told him to his condition, he had a time and date of his expiration. And ladies and gentlemen, he had put his visionary expertise to the test, and he had overcome adversity. And he today walks beside me, Mr. Nelson Beltajar, thepositivedrip.com,
Mhm.
reminding me anything is possible, especially impossible, because before possible is the word I'm. And that really resonates with me. You know, as you say, if you're not mentally health, well being, or balanced, your health is your number one asset. I had a laundry list of autoimmune conditions, osteopenia, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, gallbladder removal for 7 ulcers, upper respiratory, appendectomy. And I remember when my mother had passed in 2007, and I was devastated. The earth was taken from me. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to deal with my emotions. I'm going to suppress them. I have a job to do. I have a family to take care of.
Mhm.
But our creator and the universe had a different card dealt with me. And I ended up in the hospital for a week, the ICU unit, unable to use all 4 quadrants of my limbs and able to hold down solid foods. They
Mhm.
ran a series of tests and they said you had myasthenia gravis, which is the Graves' disease of autoimmune shutdown. And it was terminal. But like I've been blessed to unplug for the past 5 to 7 years, I remember the segue of The Secret. No spoiler alert, there is a medical excerpt. And I did master that technique. And here I am today before you, making my story magical, momentous, and being relevant with a clean bill of health,
Mhm.
sharing my story, empowering you that it is possible.
Yeah.
Anything can be done. As Justine says, put your mind to it because you're still here. You still have a long way to go. You don't have that expiration ticket. You don't know when it comes. And like my mentor, Mr. Les Brown says, are you going through it or are you growing through it? And it is your time to act right now. Everything is a choice.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
true.
choose the path towards the herd or the less traveled. Follow your heart,
Yeah.
not the herd, for the herd will get you hurt. And
Yeah.
what you hear is always secondary.
Yeah, and I think too, like when anything bad happens to me, I always think like, okay, the worst thing that can probably happen to me is dying. And
Mm-hmm.
then so when something bad happens to me, even if it's like, sometimes think like the slightest inconvenience and such, and like
Mm-hmm.
I used to get like all worked up about it, like, oh my God, my day is horrible, this, and this. But I think like if
Yes.
anything bad happens to me, like one week I had like a really crappy week, like it's a whole
Mm-hmm.
story. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, am I alive? And I am alive. And it's like, I move forward from it. And if I fail at something, like I'm still alive. I still have a chance to keep
Yes.
going. And that's why a lot of people they take these bad things like
And it's a
the end of the
snowball
world.
effect.
They say it's like
Yeah,
the
it's
end of the world. And I just feel like once you develop a mindset where it's like, it is what it is, once
mm-hmm.
you develop that mindset, it's like, yeah, you're very powerful because you decide to not, I mean, we're all human. So when bad things happen, yeah, I cry and yeah, I feel like in the dump and
We're
like
human.
we're
Yeah.
human. Like, then I would just like keep going, and that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to be like, okay, I give up and then just like live. Like, I'm literally have been fighting for a particular life that I want since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Awesome.
I mean, things are up and down. I honestly feel like when my YouTube channel wasn't really going anywhere, I was down, but then
Mm-hmm.
like I created my podcast and like, I'm still growing my podcast and such, but I feel like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I've come such a long way and I didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
it. When I was 16 years
Right.
old, going on like this website called Tumblr, I would always reblog
Mm-hmm.
the life that I want. And I'm like, you know what? I
Right.
am living a life that I wanted then, but I always want more. And that's completely like I have to pat myself on the back that I am
Yes.
where I am. Like I live in a state where there's palm trees and such. I grew up in New Jersey where it was
Disney.
just yeah, New Jersey where it's just dirty and it's not my thing. Like it's not what I like. I don't like the
Yeah.
cold. I don't like the snow. I'm grateful that I don't have to wake up to go to work and like take out like the ice on my car and like I hated doing that.
Yes.
So I got
Absolutely.
myself out of that and I moved here when I was 22. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I moved out of my parents' house sooner than all my cousins and like every my
Wow.
family. And I felt like that was a huge accomplishment because when I was 16, 17, I felt like I was worthless and I couldn't do anything. Right.
Mm,
And
right.
I ended up moving to Florida by myself. I took a risk.
Wow.
And I took a risk. I was like, "Hey, I came here on like a Disney college program where I was getting paid $10 an hour.
Ah,
When I was getting $10 an
wow.
hour, but I had to make it work. So I had like literally a
Yes.
million roommates. So like I had like
Yes,
that whole
absolutely.
situation. I had to just kind of like suck it up. Like my first year wasn't really
Hmm.
magical. I had horrible roommates. Yeah, I had horrible roommates. I lived with four people that was on the lease, but we had
Wow.
a fifth person that like took advantage of us. So that was a whole nother
Mm,
story. Not gonna get into that
right.
drama. But pretty much it was five people in the apartment. The apartment wasn't big,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
there was three bedrooms, two bathrooms, and it was not a big apartment. So it just
Right.
wasn't, and I was getting $10 an hour. Like I literally ended up in the hospital from like a panic attack. So it
Wow.
was hard because I also had to like adjust from living in New Jersey, living in that environment, living with my family, and then like moving by myself and just figuring
Wow.
life out, you know? And
That's amazing. I want to acknowledge and commend you. That is the American dream, ladies and gentlemen. When you take a life and you're like, I'm done, been there, done that. I'm gonna live my life. I give you a lot of credit. I
and
am very proud of you.
I get
Definitely.
so excited when people from Jersey, because a lot of people from Jersey, like they want to get out. And they say they post on
Hmm.
social media, they're like, they want to get out. And I comment,
Right.
I'm like, do it. And they're like, oh, this and this. I'm like, just shut up. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't say that. I'm not rude, but it's just like,
Right.
just fucking do it. Like,
Yeah.
figure it out, sit down, apply for jobs, look for
Yep.
apartments, find roommates, like, do the fucking thing. Stop sitting
Yeah.
here being like, oh, this could be this, and I'm not ready for this. It's like,
Yeah.
I roll my
Yeah.
eyes
You
and it's like I can't. It's like if I can do it, you can do it. Like I know I was very
absolutely.
lucky that I had a that I just got accepted to Disney and this like I was very lucky. And but I mean it can still happen. And one of my good friends from New Jersey, he just moved here a couple of weeks ago, finally.
Wow.
And I'm
Wow.
so happy for him and it makes me
Oh,
so excited that he's here. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
yeah, so I'm like, thank you. Set by example, move here. Like you
Hmm.
know, it's better here than in Jersey, in my personal opinion. But
Yeah,
before,
well, it's Disney.
yeah,
I'm diehard Disney fan beyond
oh yeah,
belief. We watch, like I said, we unplug from TV, and every night we just watch the Disney vloggers.
uh,
You know, a half hour to an hour at most, because we're investing in our minds. It's
yeah.
positive. It's magical. That play, it's just awesome. So
And
yeah, so I definitely acknowledge and totally.
yeah,
I
and
can't even tell you how happy to hear your
working
story.
for Disney does help grow my mind too, because like I work alongside literally like the highest like I don't think of the right wording for it, but we
Right.
all are like minded, and it's just also quality and service as well. And then the
Absolutely.
training is is
Training, I heard, is ridiculous. It's crazy.
yeah, I mean, we always have this thing called traditions. Like when you first start, it's like pretty much the orientation. So that one's
Yes.
fantastic. And then like I don't know. It's like a company to work for, and they really
Yeah.
invest in their cast members and
Hmm.
like wellness.
You
So
guys made the place. That's what it's
yeah,
about.
yeah.
That's
So which I have
awesome.
to like work in like 10 minutes, but
Okay. No
I work from
problem.
home. So like once I like
Awesome.
when I'm done here, I just turn on the computer and just start like yeah. So but anyway, so before we end, I always like to end with
Yes.
like one piece of advice that you would like to give my audience.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who are listening, come a little closer. Through the toughest times, miracles are made.
Hmm.
Follow your heart and not the herd. Through life's trials and tribulations, triumphs are won. And in this crazy game of life, learn how to press play. Plan life according to you
Right.
and make it happen. It's all
Advice:
about choice.
press play, stop keeping pause,
Yes.
stop rewinding, click on that
Yes.
play button.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I do appreciate you being on my podcast. It was an absolute
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you.
Yes, always.
And to my audience, stay tuned for on the next clip. I'll talk about what to expect on the next episode of Mentally a Badass. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Alright, so next week we're going to be talking with Sue, who is the author of The Space Between. We do talk about her past. I am going to put a trigger warning. We do talk about rape, eating disorders, and suicide. So if that's not for you, don't recommend it. But if you want to listen on, then come back for next week.